Like to call to order the Wyoming Valley West work session for Wednesday, May 7th, 2025 at 7:18 PM. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson,
Here.
Mr. Damascus,
Here.
Mr. Hardwick,
Here.
Mr. Keating,
Here.
Mr. McGinley,
Present.
Mr. Perfetto,
Here.
Mr. Kubuski,
Here.
Mrs. Cassatt, Mr. Camus.
Here. Moment of silence followed by the salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. I'd like to announce there was an executive session held prior to this meeting to discuss superintendent, HR director, and some other personnel items. Title presentation, Mrs. Troy.
Thank you, board members. Good evening, and thank you for allowing us to make this presentation tonight. We will be presenting an overview briefly of the Title I school-wide program. Our school-wide comprehensive plan requires that each school steering committee, which is comprised of parents, teachers, and community members, identifies challenges and sets goals for improvement and growth for our students. The principals are the leaders who drive the building programs. Title I coaches, Dana Masholi and Russ Singer, collect and review data to share at weekly meetings. Tonight, teams from each elementary school will cover the outcome of these goals, where growth is analyzed with data charts and brief commentary. Title I and regular education teachers continue to use innovative strategies and are collaborating to share their expertise in helping students learn. They partner with parents with exciting evening programs. Many of you here have attended them, such as State Street Mary Math Night, Dr. Seuss Literacy Night, Dana Street Winter Literacy and Math Adventure, Chester Street and 3rd Ave Make and Take Night, and Math Carnival. These events attracted large numbers of families, their children, and community members. They offered hands-on learning opportunities for all families and all participants. An integral research-based intervention strategy that continues in our school-wide program is the WIN period. WIN means what I need, meaning what each student needs. That's the focus. The benchmark testing and quarterly data reviews are used to support the lessons for the WIN periods. The principals for each building, Mr. Needle, State Street, Mr. DeRocco, Dana, and Chester, Mr. Dickton, 3rd Ave, and Mr. Bond at the middle school will present their respective buildings' data.
Hello, everybody. I'll start with State Street's data. Oh, did I do that? My bad. My bad. That's all right. So the data that you're going to see once I get the screen that I just knocked off up there is Renaissance. So it's from our Renaissance, our STAR testing. So what that does is measure student reading and math skills. It monitors achievement and growth, tracks how well students comprehend. It's aligned with Common Core standards and is a predictor of student achievement on PSSA testing. Basically what we're looking at is the stuff in the red is our beginning of the year when we tested the students in about the 2nd, 3rd week of September. And then the stuff in the gold is testing that we did at the end of the 3rd quarter around April. Our goal is the percentage rank to decrease. The ones on the left are on the bottom. You see it's each one's listed: urgent intervention, intervention, on watch, and above benchmark. So what the goal is for the two on the left, the urgent intervention, any intervention. We want to see those numbers decrease from September until now. And then the numbers on the right, where we're on watch and at or above benchmark, we want to see those increase. So our first chart right there is early literacy. Early literacy, if you combine, we're looking at, we had 33% of our students that were, urgent intervention or intervention. We had a 1% decrease in that. That's our kindergarten and first grade students. And then on watch or at or above benchmark, we had a 1% increase. For the next chart, the one in the middle where it says reading percentages, our urgent intervention, our intervention, that started at 40% in September. It went down to 36%. So we saw a 4% decrease in students that were intervention or urgent intervention. What we're looking for is on the right, where we had on watch or at or above benchmark, we saw an increase from 60% to 65%. So we saw a 5% increase there. Overall, at or above benchmark students, all the way on the right there, we had an 8% increase. In math, the chart that's all the way on the right, our urgent intervention and intervention went from 41% down to 38%. So we saw a 3% decrease in our numbers of students that are intervention students. Then in on watch or at or above benchmark, we saw a 2% increase. These percentages might not seem like much, but when you look at the reading, which is our older students, that's grades 2 to 5. If we saw an 8% increase in at or above benchmark, for 950 students approximately, we're looking at about 75 students that went to at grade level or above grade level. So it's a significant increase. With math, that's encompassing the entire building. So if you take, say, about 1,300 students, that's about 50 to 55 students that have gone at or above benchmark. So we saw significant increases. This is a best predictor we have for our grades 3 to 5 that will have success on our PSSAs. Some of the reasons that we could attribute that to are we instituted the WIN period, which is a 30-minute to 45-minute intervention period in math and reading, where we group the students and we do some ability grouping. Teachers use data. Our title teachers look at these STAR reports. They group the students. So we regroup the students every single day. And we're able to intervene in the areas that they need. We've instituted a common planning period amongst all of our grade levels, so we're able to manipulate our schedule, that our teachers are on a common planning period. I think that has helped. We have IXL, math, and reading that we're using in our buildings, and we also have our title teachers that are going into our computer classes that are maintaining that our students in the computer classes are now using our IXL platform in reading and math. So we really think that that has a lot to do with it as well. We have a lot of community outreach that we've been doing. State Street, Ms. Troy mentioned, our Merry Math Night, our Dr. Sue's Literacy Night. We also do community events as our Halloween and our Easter egg hunt, as you know. And then we have a PBIS program that we call Armor at State Street that we reward the students for their positive behaviors and their effort. We really incorporated that into PSSA testing as well, where we're trying to keep the kids motivated. So those are some of the reasons. And if you don't have any questions of me, I'll turn it over to Mr. DeRocco. Mr. Hardwick?
Just one quick one, and a quick question.
Okay.
It's going to come up probably. Could you just help me understand the difference between the urgent, the intervention and on watch? Is it?
So basically they're increasing, urgent intervention. Those are our students that need the most help. So as you look at this chart, urgent intervention, those are the ones that we're really getting the most intervention. Then we have our intervention level. On watch means we're starting to get a little bit better. We don't want to see them regress into intervention or urgent intervention. So we're keeping an eye on to see where they're going. And then it would progress to at or above benchmark. So, like we said, if you take state's reading percentages, we showed an 8% increase that went to at or above benchmark. So some of those on watch students, we're assuming, moved on to the next one and moved on to at or above benchmark, which is where we want them to go.
Safe assumption is the right side of the graph is the better side and the left is not good.
Right side is the better side, and we want to see the yellow be higher than the red, and that's pretty much where we're at.
Thank you for simplifying for me.
You got it. Anybody else? Okay, thank you.
Evening, everyone. Dana Street Elementary. And thank you, Mr. Needle. That was a great explanation of how we score things, the Renaissance testing. Thank you so much. That was a great lead. Also, Mr. Hardwick, that is the same terminology used from urgent intervention, on watch. That is the same terminology they use during the PSSA scores. So we model that same thing, so it's easier for us to judge based on the PSSAs as well. So urgent intervention at Dana Street stayed the same at 8%. You there? But in contrast to that, we see encouraging numbers with our at or above, with finishing up our third quarter with 65% of our students are at or above. So on that right side scale you see there. Overall, our early literacy throughout the year increased 8%, with our target being 5. So that's also encouraging. Overall, the reading growth at Dana Street is at 9%, with our math growth being at 6%. So again, our target with the state was 5%. So I see that as very encouraging growth with another quarter to go. So that's great stuff. Again, we utilize the win period in PBIS as well. Our win periods are reviewed quarterly and needs are adjusted. So groups are adjusted for each student. The needs and the standards of each quarter is adjusted for those groups. We have our team of title teachers at Dana Street, Jess Pryman, Barb Zekas, and Bev Thomas, who's retiring this year. They do a wonderful job of collaborating getting the information out to the teachers and organizing the group. So that's a great plan we have at Dana. Our PBIS, which started in my first year there last year, and it's evolving. So we have now a monthly program that Miss Milan put together, a monthly program of rewards, golden tickets that are given out by every teacher, and we still utilize the Dana Dollar program there that's been there since Milan's probably started it 20 years ago. So, and that works. So with the addition to that, we created a Dana Dollar store. It's down in one of our basement rooms, and Mr. Sean Bolin, he's our behavior specialist. He manages that for us. He stocks it, supplies it, and students come down every Friday and participate in that, and they really love it. So they're great things we're seeing there. And our community programs this year were outstanding. I know some of you came and were a part of those programs. Really great work by our team, and I appreciate them there at Dana Street. Chester Street, urgent intervention at Chester's a little different. We don't have a kindergarten there. Those students are at 3rd Ave, so we're really just scoring our first grade in our early literacy level. In that, we see urgent intervention went down in all categories by great percentage. Intervention and on-watch students improved as well. The goal, again, is to lift that benchmark student. Our goal was set at 5%. Overall, over the 3 quarters, we raised it to 6%. Win period is done very much similar to Dana Street's. We do the same program at Chester Street. Our teachers meet with Mr. Singer, Michelle Baranski, Steph Gover. They meet quarterly, put a program together for the following quarter. They move students around into different groups. It's really an excellent program, and all the teachers have bought in, and I love that. It's working out very well. Our PBIS program, which again, its inception was last year. We got off to a little rocky start because, limited staff in that building, smaller numbers. So we, who was going to take the lead and who was going to, take this role and that role. This year, we really hammered out some things out. Our school counselor, Ms. Cryan, stepped up and started taking the lead, and the addition to Mr. Kopek, our new library teacher over there, he really took the lead on a lot of this as well, and they're doing some great things, monthly programs with the students. They also have a ticket purchase system, much like Dana's, but on a very smaller level. So I think that's all in a great direction, and looking for a lot of positives to come out of that. Thank you for your time. Are there any questions about Dana or Chester? Thank you so much for your time. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Just curious, and I should ask Mr. Needle, how many title teachers are at each school right now at Dana and at Chester?
So at Dana Street, we have 3, and at Chester Street, 2.
And how many at State?
We have 12 spots. Yeah, there are 11.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm here to speak about Third Ave. Third Ave is 7 classrooms. There are 6 kindergarten classrooms, 1 autistic support classroom. So we're fully immersed in kindergarten, and we use the same model, which is the nice thing about Title. All the schools across the elementary level have the WIN period, have the Title teacher support, and do the family engagement events. If you look at our graph at the beginning of the school year, 35 students were performing at or above the benchmark, with a combined 41 students that fell into the intervention or urgent intervention categories. And by the end of Q3, the number of students at or above benchmark increased slightly to 39. And those students in the urgent intervention categories decreased from 25 to 19, which is a positive shift. Although these intervention categories increased slightly from 16 to 19, because as those students move from urgent intervention and over, some of those numbers are going to increase. The overall, there was a positive movement and more students reaching that benchmark level with fewer urgent needs, which is what we want to see. We want to see that gradual progression in those kindergarten students. So instead of repeating all of the great programs that Title does, Ms. Mahalik runs our Title program at Third Ave. She does a wonderful job, and the teachers do a great job when we break our students into our WIN groups.
Anthony, same question. How many title teachers do you have?
1 Title teacher at Third Ave, sir. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good evening, honorable members of the board. Thank you for letting us speak tonight regarding our Title I program. The Wyoming Valley West Middle School is in the unique position in that we are a receiving feeder school. So we take all the elementary buildings across the district, and I would be remiss if I did not compliment under the leadership of Superintendent Tosh, Director of Curriculum Navraki, and Ms. Troy. Over the last 4 to 5 years of my experience in this district of almost 25 years, this is perhaps one of the first ventures that we've had where we've seen uniformity in students coming from different buildings throughout the district, entering the middle school and being consistently on the same page with respect to where their abilities are and where they are not. So this evening, what you have in front of you are a very basic explanation of where we are at with respect to middle school students and their achievement and their growth. So let me simplify that for you in this regard. And this is simply a hypothetical. If you could imagine that you go to your family physician once per year, and the doctor turns to you and says, "Excuse me, there's a concern with your cholesterol. We need to have you tested." So that test then serves as your baseline. That baseline is now a reference point for your doctor, and your doctor may turn around and say, 6 months from now, I need you to be retested. Go get that test, you come back, review the results with your doctor. I need you to go back in another 6 months. We want to continue to monitor this. So that is precisely the system that we have in the middle school under your stewardship and resources that you've allocated to the middle school through our Title program, so it's much appreciated. The program is called iExcel. iExcel is a web-based, software-based program that provides recognition of student assessment, their downfalls, and the ability to intervene for those downfalls. So in short, we can benchmark students in September, meaning we give them a baseline test. We understand where their deficiencies are. And then 2 more times throughout the year, we assess them to see what's happening. So the model that you have in front of you and the graph that you have in front of you would show you, for example, in 6th grade for math, September, there is a 3-digit number, 358. If you will, we'll go back to elementary school in the hundreds column, meaning the 3, the far left number. That would represent the approximate grade level that the student is currently achieving. So yes, I am saying, without reservation, students in 6th grade at the Wyoming Valley West Middle School are at about a 3rd grade level. The next two digits really recognize their efforts working towards that next 100 level or reaching a 4 for 400, a fourth grade level. So achievement is one thing. Go back to that cholesterol test. You walk into the doctor recognizes, hey, you went for your blood work, you have your cholesterol, here's where it's at. Ah, shock value. But what's more important is that continue monitoring to ensure what's happening. Are you putting in the work as a patient, whether it's medication, exercise, whatever that prescription may be? That's what we're doing with the students. So then when you look for, again, sixth grade going across from left to right, the next assessment comes in January, 414. So it's a gain of 56 points. What does that gain of 56 points mean? That gain of 56 points means that we're looking for a 100-point gain. A 100-point gain at the end of the year means a student has made 1 full year's worth of academic educational growth. We're on target for that. We're on target to surpass that in sixth grade. We're on target to surpass that in seventh grade. And we're falling just short of that target, even though we're growing in eighth grade. So good things are happening. Again, is there shock value in the fact, like you would be told by your doctor, your cholesterol is a concern? Yes, we are widely aware that the math scores are a concern. But the tools, the plan, the vision that I echo again from Mr. Tosh to Mr. Navraki to Ms. Troy and to the team that's around here, the plan that we have built to begin to monitor students and frequently check in on them in a prescriptive manner, because the IXL software, again, not only does it assess them, but just like I'm going to be admitted, I do not want to go to the gym to help fix my cholesterol fall if I had a problem. But the students love the online IXL software. They have something called jam boards. Students can go anytime after school. They get on a jam board. It means multiple students at one time can get on there, have fun, play games against each other, keep score, and you can hear them talking about that in school. So despite any negatives that you might hear, there are still traditional students still having traditional fun, having educational laughs with respect to, at the same time, increasing their abilities in our building with respect to math. How that relates to the PSSAs is the achievement. So again, just that single isolated assessment of your cholesterol, that initial shock value to say your cholesterol is a concern. Yes, our math score at the PSSA level is a concern. But if you want that to be your only metric of how healthy you are, is your cholesterol, I don't think your doctor approves. I'm certain they're looking at many other criteria to determine your health. Well, the same thing for us. So that's why we use IXL, we use your report card grades, and we use subjective data from teachers on their localized assessments in class to determine the healthiness of our students and their math capabilities. Mr. Singer, next slide, please. So the next is for the English language arts curriculum. And as you can see, I don't want to reiterate too much, but again, the numbers would fall to be the same. So in September, we take a baseline, we assess the kids, we find out where they are at so that we can begin to work on the deficiencies that they may have. If you look at the gain and loss column to the far right, we're on schedule to beat that 1-year target. What does that mean for us as a school, as a district? It means if we continue on that path, we close the achievement gap. Where does that achievement gap come from? Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about what happened 4 years ago. That's in the past. But that achievement gap is widely in part due to that pandemic that struck our students and disrupted our educational system. So to close that gap, if we're looking at this and we want to say, hey, Principal Bond, why are our students in sixth grade on a fourth grade level? There's a 2-year gap there. This is what we're closing. Those numbers on the far right representing 70-point increase, 70-point increase, puts us on target to start closing that gap. I won't get on a soapbox about where the curriculum is from the state and how maturation plays a part of that. That's a discussion for another time. Tonight, you've asked us to speak about Title I. We're much obliged and thankful for the support that you've provided. So what we've provided for that, Mr. Singer, if you would advance in the next slide. The Wyoming Valley West School Board has allocated funds for us to be able to add another teacher to the Wyoming Valley West Middle School staff. That teacher was targeted to teach sixth grade mathematics intervention. So we now have a person who is not only teaching regular mathematics, but also has dedicated classes that look for the concerns with our students in math, specifically targets those concerns through that system, and now builds on those skills for those students in that system. So we appreciate your support in that, in the IXL tool. The snapshot, as we call it, we do that 3 times a year. So again, that's like going for that cholesterol check 3 times a year. We're doing that with students with Fidelity. So our students will take those last measurable assessments within the next 2 weeks. And please keep in mind, these students do this 3 times a year in addition to all their other regular coursework, plus they just closed in on almost 2.5 weeks of the PSSAs. So we ask quite a bit of our students. And I think if we all sat as reasonable adults and said, do you want to go to your doctor 5, 6, 7 times a year? We probably all feel the same. I would hedge to bet that. In short, to summarize, the math achievement that we have is that 1 to 2 year gap. We're trying to close it. We're making terrific growth. In fact, the Wyoming Valley West Middle School, out of all the local districts, had the highest math growth attainment last year. The highest. The math growth is on a correct path to receive that full year's worth of education and slightly beyond. So if I said we have a 1 year gap and I make a full year's worth of education and I close in on 1 or 2 months, perhaps if we go over the next 2 or 3 years, maybe there's 2 or 3 more months that we close in on that gap. So we really start to close it. As far as the ELA goes, different story, and widely because students come in with different reading capabilities. But that will come to fruition through Mr. Tosh's, Mr. Navraki's, and Ms. Troy's plan that we've had over the last couple of years to unify the elementary so all students that feed into the middle school are coming in being taught the same curriculum, the same skills for the district to enter the middle school. Finally, we do as a title team as well at the Wyoming Valley West Middle School have what we call parent and family engagement events. Our first one, since we were newly identified this year, was in the winter. We basically held an information session for parents to come in and learn how to essentially use Skyward to log in, see their child's attendance, see their child's grades, learn how to access report cards, things of that nature. And then we followed that up with our spring event called Spartan STEAM, where we blew it out of the water. We had almost 150 different families that came in and signed in for the event that night. And again, that's a discussion for another time, but it was well received to complement our Title I program. Honorable members, any questions or statements?
Mr. Bond. Am I reading this correctly with the,
Mr. McGinley, I'm going to come over this way just so I can hear you.
speaking, maybe, am I reading this correctly in the language arts? Our 6th graders have a 1 year gap,
Yeah.
and then 7th grade grows to 1.5,
Right.
and then the 8th grade grows again to 2.5?
Right.
So think about where those 8th graders were 4 years ago. They were either not in school or had the option to attend school. So think about the 6th grade. They didn't have that same, they were way down in 1st grade. So the 8th grade that we have right now is that cohort of students. Our 9th and 8th graders are that cohort that got caught in the pandemic and either were in school shutdown or the following subsequent year had that opportunity, whether they wanted to come in person or stay online. Thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Mr. Bond.
Thank you to all that participated, our tech coaches, Dana and Russ, Dana Sholey, Russ Singer for their assistance, the principals, the Title I teachers, all the faculties in all of our schools. And I also thank the school board for their support, Mr. Tosh, Mr. Navraki, Mr. Waskevich for your tech support, and of course, Kim Walk for continuing to guide us on the path to increase growth and achievement that you've seen this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Troy, can you just do me a favor and email that to the board, the presentation?
Sure.
Whoever has
Yep.
that. Thank you.
I would also ask if it's possible, I would love to see Q4 after the school year, if we would be able to see this same report with Q4 added in.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Camus, if I may, I'd just like to thank each and every one of you guys for your hard work. And I've been to a couple of your community outreach events, and they were great events. Not only does it get the kids involved, but the families involved. And I just want to thank you all, you and your faculty, for your hard work. Thank you.
Anyone else? Superintendent's comments, Mr. Tosh. No superintendent comments tonight. Thank you. Statements from interested citizens, Jim?
Good evening. My name is Jim Geronimo. I'm with Municipal Revenue Services. Since 2005, with the exception of last year, our company has structured the purchase of the district's delinquent real estate tax liens. The purpose of this presentation is to not give you chapter and verse of what this tax lien sale does and how it's structured, because it's fairly detailed, a little arcane and somewhat boring, but to kind of give you an overview, give you the opportunity to ask me some questions. I know all of you have had a chance to look at some of the documents that I've floated back and forth through your administration. I have made presentations to different iterations of this school board over the last 20 years from this podium in front of this stage. So this is nothing new to me. Excuse me. The general thrust of this transaction is, as you know, the school board levies taxes. When those taxes are not paid by December 31st of each calendar year, they become delinquent and they get turned over to your delinquent tax collector, which in Luzerne County is Elite Revenue. If we did not exist, Elite Revenue would collect those delinquent taxes and they would remit them back to the district on a, I believe, a bi-weekly basis. And you would get those a little bit at a time. And when I say a little bit at a time, the amount that you're getting is not representative of the most recent delinquent turnover from the prior year. It's a little bit from that year, a little bit from the year before, a little bit from the year before that, and so on and so forth. It's an amalgamation of all the prior delinquent years. What our tax lien program does is it comes in and it buys your entire accounts receivable. And in the first year of a transaction, it provides you with a windfall of a significant amount of revenue over and above what your normal budgeted amount is. We don't collect the taxes. Elite Revenue continues to do that. We simply fund you the revenue, not only for your fiscal, I'm going to use 25-26 fiscal year for purposes of this. The transaction would be sometime in late January or February. We would do the transaction at that time. We would fund not only your delinquent turnover from 25 to 26, but bring current all of the accounts receivable that are on your books and provide you with a large windfall. That's a sale of an asset. The revenue stream from the sale of an asset is unrestricted. In addition to that, you would be getting between July 1st, 25 and December 31st, 25 revenue for delinquent taxes directly from Elite Revenue that's going to be coming directly to the district, because this transaction, again, will not take place until January or February of 2026. We have all of the data because, again, we've been doing this for 21 years now. We do it all over Luzerne County, Lackawanna County, all over the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We're the only company that does it because we have a patent on this product and nobody else can do it. And having reviewed all of that data, assuming that the delinquent turnover remains the same in January of 26 as it has been in the last couple of years, assuming that collections remain the same, excuse me, you should receive directly from the Tax Lien Bureau between July 1st and December 31st about $1.7 to $1.8 million. We would provide about $3.8 million by way of a sale. So total delinquent revenue for fiscal year 25-26 would be somewhere in the neighborhood of about $5.6 million. Of that, the 3.6 that we would provide would be unrestricted revenue. Obviously, anything you get from the delinquent tax collector would not be, because it's not as a result of a sale of an asset. Now, this is not a one and done transaction. As you heard me say, we've been doing this, with the exception of last year, since 2005. Every year there's a new delinquent turnover. Every year we would buy that new turnover and fund your budget. Historically speaking, your delinquent turnover has been in the neighborhood of $2.6 million. The last couple of years, it's been around $2.8 million. Historically, we've been able to provide near 100 or often over 100% of the turnover amount, which is not what you budget. You shouldn't be budgeting the turnover amount. You should be budgeting something a little bit less than that because that's just good common sense. But we provide more than that. How can we provide more than that? Because as I said, we're buying your entire accounts receivable. And in doing so, we're buying everything going as far back as your accounts receivable is, but our loan is anticipated to be paid off only based on the revenue coming in, based on the last 4 calendar years that went delinquent. So when revenue comes in that's 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, that comes in, that pays down our note even further. That allows us to borrow more money the next year. That's how we return that revenue that we bought, that is old revenue, back to you the next year, so that you're getting every dime that comes in. You may not get it in the year it comes in, you're getting it in the next year. That happened for the last 20 years, and I provided a chart to you before. I could provide it again, showing every year's delinquent turnover, every year's revenue from the sales, and the percentage of the sale versus the turn. And pardon me, and you have someplace all of the closing transactions from those transactions. If not, I can provide them again. I'm going to stop there because that's an enormous amount of information, and I know you've had a long meeting already. So I'm going to stop and ask if there's any questions at this point.
What school districts are you in Luzerne County?
I'm sorry.
In Luzerne County, what school districts are you in?
We're in Hazelton, we're in Wyoming area, we're in Crestwood, taxing me now, Northwest, about to be Hanover again. We were in Hanover before. We're in the city of Wilkes-Barre. We were in Luzerne County. We may be in Luzerne County again. You never know what's going to happen.
Thank you.
Mr. Geronimo was laughing at me because he was one that got changed around after the council came in.
Yeah. Mr. McGinley knows.
Yeah. Mr. Geronimo, you buy 100% of the delinquent taxes?
We do, and we have to, because under the law, when somebody pays a delinquent tax, the money goes to the oldest lien, and your solicitor can confirm this, the oldest lien that's on that property. So in order for a bank to have a perfected security interest, they need as collateral all of the liens. We can't just buy a certain tranche of the liens.
I think that was available at one time though, right?
I'm sorry?
I think at one time you can buy like the top 80% or something.
There are fungible aspects to this. For Lackawanna County, for example, the county itself is a client of ours. And the way we structure things in Lackawanna County is we will not buy the most recent delinquent year. We'll buy year 2 and beyond. And that's permissible because of the number one, the Lackawanna County Tax Lien Bureau will accept that. And number 2, our bank will accept it. So, and that's the way they wanted to do it. And it worked perfectly because there was a pledge of every time that first year would become year 2, that year 2 then gets pledged to pay down the note. So there's different ways to structure the financing. Yeah.
Thank you.
And that was not my idea. That was their idea. And it was a good one. Does that generate any additional questions?
At one time, you were in our district. Is that correct?
I'm sorry.
You used to work for our district, correct? At one time?
I'm having a hard time hearing.
He asked if at one time you were in our district.
In this district?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we purchased the delinquent liens here from 2005 until 2023.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you very well.
That's all right. Anyone else?
So why did we stop? I'm just curious.
I think your business manager may shed a better light on that than I could. We had some discussions last year that went back and forth, and I would defer to Rob to give you the explanation.
Actually, our committee, I mean, I'm open-minded to anything, but it wasn't just Rob, it was our finance committee that discussed this, because
Yes.
would it be accurate or inaccurate to say if our delinquent taxes are paid to us through elite revenue, we're getting 100% of our delinquent tax that's owed to us? If you're buying the tranche, you're advancing money to us, but you're also taking a commission on what, may not be paid to us over a period of time.
We do not, our fee is not based on, let me back up. We do not take a fee out of the revenue stream, if that makes sense. So we're not charging the district a fee. We don't keep any of the revenue that comes in as a fee. We don't keep any of the penalties or any of the interest. And I'll explain in a second how our fee works. The reason, Mr. Keating, I deferred to Rob, because he was the member of the administration that I was working with, that's all. The way our fee is structured is I would go to whatever bank we choose to utilize, and I would borrow X amount of money to finance this. Let's say it's $3 million. And our fee is going to be, whatever it is, $50,000. I would go to the bank and I'd say, I need $3 million to pay the district, and I'm charging a $50,000 fee. I'm going to borrow $3,050,000. So our fee, to analogize it to a situation we're all familiar with, you take a mortgage out on your house, or you're buying a new home and you get a mortgage, you finance your closing costs. So you have $3,000 or $4,000 worth of closing costs. Instead of dipping into your savings, you finance that, you roll those fees into your mortgage. Now, when you pay your mortgage every month, you're paying, as part of your mortgage, your closing costs. So that's the way our fees are structured. Yeah. Does that generate any additional questions? So the process then, and I know I don't have a lot of time, I'll just kind of wrap up real quick. The process is that if the board is of a mind to renew this and to keep going, it's actually probably beneficial that you sat out a year, because sitting out a year allowed that accounts receivable to grow, and allowing it to grow allows there to be a windfall in January, February of next year, which is unusual. We have clients that actually plan to sit out a year so that accounts receivable can build up, and then they can have a nice big windfall because they're planning for a new track or a new roof or a new HVAC unit. So we have some people that actually will tell me, in 2 years, I'm going to sit out, so that we can do some budgeting for them and help them work it out. So it's actually somewhat fortuitous that occurred. So if the board is of a mind to renew this, a simple resolution would be put in place, and from there, we take over and we would move forward with a transaction sometime that suits your schedule. The reason it usually takes place in the late winter, early spring, is because that's when your cash flow is at a minimum. Tax bills haven't been sent out. There's no cash coming in, except whatever cash you may have coming in from state and federal resources or grants. There's certainly no tax revenue coming in, and therefore you get this big sale proceeds at a time when there's no revenue coming in. So with that,
Can I ask one question?
yes, sir.
So if you do sit out multiple years, 2, 3, 4 years, that windfall would grow, in your opinion?
There is a point of diminishing returns.
Okay.
So I would say 2 years is probably the max, because your collections are good. They're not perfect, they're good. So again, anything over that, you're just kind of in a cycle. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if there is a project or something like that, I don't certainly need to know that, but from a budgeting standpoint, that's something that, as I indicated, a number of our clients do.
Yeah. That's why I asked about the multiple years.
Yeah, once you
In
go
case
beyond,
multiple years, there's a project down the road.
yeah, if you sit out too long, it just doesn't make sense. And I could run the numbers all day and show you, and it's, yeah.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Jermaine. I will speak with my fellow board members and see if we can get this on the agenda.
Yeah, thank you all very much for your time. I
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Committee reports, Mr. Damascus?
Only thing I have is we will have two, new coaches that we're currently in the process of, finishing up recommendations for, one for, soccer, boys soccer and, girls field hockey, and hopefully we'll have them on the agenda for our, voting session next week. That's it.
Mr. Keating, do you have anything this evening? Only thing I'd like to, bring up this evening is that, our business manager and the finance committee were, working on the, presentation of our preliminary budget for, next Wednesday. We're hopeful to have the preliminary, budget for the, board's review. And between now and then, we also have the personnel committee, a substantial amount of, vacant, teaching positions that, we are interviewing for, Mr. Camus. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Keating. Mr. McGinley, do you have anything this evening?
Not too much this evening. Next week I'll have a little bit more. But you can see the bulk of the agenda has to deal with policies. And we thank the people who worked on that. And they've done a great job to get through that policy meeting.
Well, I can tell you what, you've been hard at work this month. There's a lot there. Thanks, Mr. McGinley. Mr. Hardwick, do you have anything?
Not on my committee, but I was gonna add, I did take a look at some of the policies, and I'm assuming that the change in print is additions and the bold and stuff.
That's correct.
So to Mr. Camus's point, there's a lot of work there.
There's a lot of work
Yeah.
by the committee, and our secretary of the board has done an outstanding job also.
I would encourage all the board members to take a look at some of the policies, including public input and some changes there that we're supposed to refrain from discussion and stuff like that. But anyway, that's all I had, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hardwick. Mr. Dickon, do you have anything you'd like to add this evening?
It's in there.
I really have nothing for buildings and grounds. We did have that meeting with, between Apollo and SiteLog, and our solicitors were there. From what I'm being told, it was a great meeting. They're expected to be out of our building sometime by the end of July. June, I'm sorry. Thank you, June. So that's pretty exciting. It's pretty nice in this building now. I will add, this is a year ago, it was pretty warm in here. The last thing I do want to confirm that I spoke with Mr. Quarters today. We are slated to have these elevators rebuilt by August. We all know our elevator went down again in the high school. Both. Both. I actually asked Mr. Quarters to just get us a price on getting two brand new cars. Update the whole systems, both of them. He went back through the bills over the past 9 years, and the one car has been basically, this car by the end of this year, by August, will be completely redone. And then the high school will be almost there. There's a couple little things, but we just changed the motor and the hydraulic pump up there, so there's not much left. He did get confirmation though that those parts will be in, and they are scheduled in for August, so just so everybody knows.
Mr. Camus, on the elevator at the high school, I did have questions on that.
Go
So
ahead.
it was just fixed, but that's not the parts that we're waiting on?
Correct.
So this is a whole other,
We are waiting on the controls and the doors for the high school. So the panels, and the controls down in the elevator room.
okay,
We're waiting to update those, and we're waiting to update the doors and the tracks for the high school.
okay, so all the work that was described in the email is totally different than what we're planning, or most of it. That's,
What do you mean, Mark?
I was under the impression that they put doors or something on, or
Those were emergency parts, I think, that we needed right then and there.
They're gonna be upgraded, the all new controls are gonna be done.
Okay, so what, this
What,
is,
what, the last time those doors broke, there was a pencil jammed in there by a student. That has not happened since we put cameras on that elevator.
okay.
General recommended action items, items 1 through 59. Does anybody have a question on any of these? Everybody's okay if we move in all of these items forward to next week? Staff recommended action items 1 through 8. Does anybody have any questions on these? All right, we'll move these ahead to next week. Mr. Kuchari, do you have anything you would like to add?
Yes, I do. So the business office and the IT department has been working feverishly to solidify our PSERs and our collections. We do have a Zoom meeting tomorrow with PSERs at 10 a.m. I did reach out to 3 auditing firms, Baker Tilly, Clifton Larson, SB and Company. So far, I've got 1 meeting set up with SB and Company, and they are the actual company that audits the whole state PSERS retirement system. So I'm waiting, again, I will have the meetings tomorrow and in the very near future with these auditing companies and get a proposal to the board.
Excellent. Thank you, and maybe you could update us next week as to where we're at with it and everything.
Absolutely.
And pretty exciting. Anything else?
No, I'm working on the budget, hoping to have a preliminary, and we have our ongoing teacher negotiations.
Thank you, Mr. Kuchar, very much.
Sure.
Under new business, does anybody have anything they'd like to discuss? All right, our next scheduled meeting will be next Wednesday, May 14th at 7 p.m.